All right, what up, people? It's your boy Chig from Gooner Eagle Eye, um, and coming here really to do my match review from the snowball draw. That is Leicester versus Arsenal today, and boy, it was a dull game to watch. It kind of brightened up towards the end because both teams, I guess, put in a little bit more effort to win it. But in terms of a spectacle it was not. Uh, it kind of it a lot for a lot of the game. It was basically two teams who were determined not to lose, and it very much played out like that for a majority of the game. I think probably things of note to take from this was um, the team that started. I think the team that started was a little bit of a surprise for some. For example, Rob Holding started instead of Callum Chambers, which is what I originally picked in my preview video. If you guys have not seen that, do have an opportunity to go and look at that, or listen to that, I should say. So the team that I picked was slightly different from the team that actually started today. So the team that started today was Czech, Koscielny, Holding, and Monreal. So in that defense, the surprise was Holding. I picked Chambers to start the game because the thinking behind that was the fact that a lot more experience for Chambers. And I'll get back to that whole Chambers Holding situation shortly. And then in the middle, you had Coquelin, and then you had Xhaka, which was as predicted. I felt that was the best pairing to go for. And that was the one that they went for. They also played Sanchez just in front of him, which I also predicted, and that was what I felt was correct. They played Theo on the right, Ox on the left, and Alexis up front, which was slightly different to what I was expecting. What I was expecting was Alexis on the left and Ox on the right, which on hindsight I think still would have worked slightly better. But yeah, I mean, they kind of predicted my triangle just the wrong way around. And yeah, I mean, it kind of was what it was. It was a game that really was struggling to hold my interest for a lot of it. I felt let's just point out the two positives, because I'll be honest, this video will probably come across really negative as fuck. I'm aware of that, so I apologize now. So let's go for the two positives. The two positives by far were Koscielny, who was easily the best player on the pitch. Absolutely led from the front in that defense. Absolutely marshaled Holding, who, to be fair, isn't one of my two players, but I thought also played very, very well alongside Koscielny. I thought the two of them had Jamie Vardy in the pocket, in their pocket, I should say. And he didn't really have a lot to go on. He didn't really have a lot of opportunities to go on because of it. So I thought because of that, you've got to say that the two were brilliant. I had my worries, considering that, why wouldn't Wenger go for the more experienced Chambers? From Chambers' point of view, he must be worried. Like, if I'm Callum Chambers now, I'm shitting myself. Because we're already talking about buying a defender, and that we have bought was a 2 million buy from a relegated championship team, and that guy was the one that you in a Premier League game. That would concern me if I'm Callum Chambers. That wouldn't feel good. But I mean, from this evidence, this Holding looks like a fantastic player. That does not mean, however, because you always worry when we have a good performance somewhere in the team and we still need to buy players, because it makes you wonder, gosh, we had a clean sheet today. That means Wenger might not necessarily feel to buy a defender because he's just so reluctant to buy. I'm still hoping this won't stop us from closing any potential deal with a Mustafi, or even if it is a damn Johnny Evans. At this point, let's just get the damn player in. I've given up. I've given up laughing at the idea of Johnny Evans. I'd rather a Johnny Evans than for later on this season for Koscielny to get injured and we're relying on Chambers and Holding again. So if it is Johnny Evans, so be it. Let's just bring him in. To be fair to Johnny Evans, he has been playing well. I still wouldn't have him if it was up to me, but he has been playing well, to be fair to him. So yeah, I mean, it was important for me to give Holding a shout out, who I thought was fantastic. And I've heard people, like I've since been watching Arsenal Fan TV today, and people were saying he's okay. I don't know what they were watching, because I was watching the same game, and for me, he was immense, and that was Xhaka. Unbelievably good. He had the most touches. He made the most tackles. He was everywhere. He was immense. You know, every time I thought he marshaled Coquelin very well. So those were two really big positives in the team. So whereas I thought Coquelin and I thought Holding played well within their own right, I think their partners marshaled them perfectly. So in Koscielny's case, he was immense. He did his job perfectly, but he also placed Holding exactly where he wanted him. And same thing with Xhaka. You know, every time, because let's be honest, anyone that's seen Coquelin play, I like Coquelin as a player because there is always a lot of effort in everything that he does. That's one thing I will never take away from him. But I've said it before in this channel, and I'll say it again. He's not the brightest player. So sometimes he'll go galloping somewhere. You're thinking, where are you going? And that's where at least Xhaka has the kind of mindset to say, all right, cool. If he's going on a walkabout, let me drop off. And that was one thing that was very apparent. Every single time Mahrez went on a walkabout, Xhaka was there, had him on lock. And that I was good to see. Similarly with Okazaki or Owizaki or whatever his name is, he was barely in the game. Because again, Xhaka absolutely had these guys on lock. So I thought in terms of our two defensive partnerships, a complete and utter contrast from last week. They were brilliant. However, similarly, in complete and utter contrast from last week, our toothless striking force was very much on show today. Again, if I'm going to try and pick up some bright points, I thought Ox started well. I thought he was direct. I thought he looked hungry. He dribbled the ball a couple of times, had some really good opportunities, made some opportunities for himself a couple of times. He looks at least, and I saw a tweet from Rio Ferdinand. I actually agree with him. Look like someone who I think realizes this may be one of his last chances to show his worth at Arsenal, and he's playing like that. So I like that. Similarly with Theo, I thought Theo wasn't that bad today. He wasn't as good as last week. I don't think he was that good, but I don't think he was that bad. Faded towards the end, as Theo always tends to do. He had a full 90 minutes today, which is rare for Theo, let's be honest. He did okay. You know, he had a couple of really sort of put away at least one of them. And that's pretty much it in terms of the bright spots, I'll be honest. So let's talk about the fucking bad. My goodness gracious me. Alexis, I love him. The man is not a striker. I saw the comparison. I saw the quotes from Wenger, ahead of this game, and they were saying that he could be the new Suarez. Suarez and him are not the same. I get the comparison because they're both South American. They're both very tenacious players. Same position. Alexis was, and always will be an attacking midfielder. He likes being involved in the play. He likes dribbling from deep with the ball. He always wants to be on the ball. To be a striker, you're not as involved. And yeah, all right, I know Suarez is more involved than your normal, but he is not a striker. Suarez, for a start, is a better finisher than Alexis. He just is. He just is. I don't care who you are trying to argue about Suarez. He's a better finisher than Sanchez, and that's just one of the things he's better at Sanchez than in. Sanchez is never going to be a number 9. And I don't care how much Wenger wants to fight that fact because he's reluctant to spend money. And then in terms of it just looked like we were completely out of ideas. It didn't look like as my boy would say, it just did not look like we were about this life. It really did not look like we were about this life. We literally came almost too scared to lose. And if it wasn't because of a couple of bad refereeing decisions, really against Leicester, they should have won. First of all, they should have had at least one penalty, and you could have argued that Coquelin could have got sent off at one point. It was a tense game for an Arsenal fan to watch, and it just looks like a team that is desperate for a lift, is desperate for something fresh in the team, because we look stale as fuck, and that's what the game felt like. It felt like a slow, sombering game. Yeah, we dominated spells of the game, but quite frankly, I would expect us to dominate spells of the game. Bar one save, Chet didn't really have any other big saves to make in the game, and I thought that was more of a testament to our defensive pairings. So our defensive midfield pairing and our central defender pairings, I thought were on point. To be fair, I don't think Bellerin or Monreal did much wrong. They didn't do much, but they didn't do much wrong. And then you had Giroud, who I think let's avoid giving him too much criticism. He's working his way back to match fitness, but it was Giroud. Gave the ball away almost every time I saw him. Ozil came on for Santi, who, to be fair, had a really quiet game. I was surprised by that. I was expecting Santi to have a much, much, much more solid game than he ended up having. But he looked quiet. He looked anonymous through most of the game, to be fair. And then when Ozil came on, he gave us a little bit more impetus. I've heard many people describe Ozil as by far and away our best player, and it kind of showed today, because when he came on, we looked a little bit more dangerous. So towards the end, we started dominating, and as per usual, not converting, because we do not have a striker. We don't have the players capable of scoring. And I know you guys hear me rant about this bullshit all the time, but it's evident to me in games like this. One thing, I'll be honest with you, yeah? Rare will I feel the need to be jealous over anything, for the simple reason that, life is too short to be jealous over somebody else. But I'll be honest, I watched that United game on Friday night, as you guys know, and I was so jealous. Because not only have they brought in new players, but you can see that the once cloud that was over Man United last season has completely been lifted. They look like a real fresh attacking team that, quite frankly, completely battered Southampton and didn't really get out of second gear. They look like a team that is full of options, full of excitement. you wonder, gosh, what will happen when they are really up and running? You know, me and the boys at the moment have a fantasy football team. I can almost guarantee by Christmas, all of us will be full of Man United players. Um, just for the simple reason, I just think they have that many exciting players. I mean, my gosh, one of their potentially biggest buys, believe will end up being their Ozil in Henrik Mkhitaryan, can't even get in the team because their team is just full of exciting talent at the moment. You know, Carrick can't get in the team. Schneiderlin can't get in the team because they have options. It's crazy. Then you come to Arsenal, it's just the same old nonsense. And honestly, if it stays this way and Wenger doesn't make a signing, I can't see us making the top four. I'll be honest. Because there is no, yes, all right, there have been some exciting additions. But you think to yourself, is it? Is this what we're going to roll with? Is this all we're going to roll with? It's like for some stupid reason, it takes. Now I was listening to Charlie Nicholas on Soccer Saturday today, and everything he said, him and Paul Merson. First of all, they're both ex-Arsenal players. In case anyone who's listening to this doesn't realize, right? And obviously, they're big Arsenal fans deep down. They're pundits, but they're big Arsenal fans deep down. It's some of the most profound points I've ever heard in my entire life. First of all, from Charlie Nicholas, he was like, have you ever noticed, particularly this summer, that it takes Arsenal longer than most teams to close out a deal? He said that when it came to this Pogba deal for Man United, it took 2 weeks to close out. For some unusual reason, did you notice that it took 1 month for us to close out a 2 million Rob Holding deal? And I looked at it and I heard him. I was like, "Oh my gosh, it's so true." It's like, why should that happen? Why does the most expensive player in the world take 2 weeks to close out? Us doing a £2 million Rob Holding deal takes 1 month for us to close out the deal. And he was making this point because he was making this point over Mustafi, why a player like that wasn't immediately identified after the Euros and brought in ready for that Liverpool game. Instead, we're now after game 2 and we still are no closer to finding out if we're ready or we're about to bring this guy in. Now, a lot of the rumor mill is saying that, you know, he is expected to be brought in, have a medical on Tuesday evening, and be signed up by Wednesday morning. But this is Arsenal we're talking about. It would not surprise me for 1 single second if we don't do that until the 31st of August. Because we're stupid like that. And then on top of all this, right? Now bear in mind, Arsene Wenger didn't get the greatest reception after this game. So from people that were there, people were chanting things like Wenger out and spend some fucking money and things like that. So then, in his wisdom, decides I can't help but call him an idiot, right? This idiot decides to come out with a post-press conference, right? With the headline, I'm sorry, I did not, I'm sorry, Rob Holding did not cost 55 million, right? In his wisdom, he decided to say, and I quote, I don't understand why you say I am reluctant to spend money. If I buy you for 45 million tomorrow, does it mean I have done well? If I listen to you, then I would have done well because I spent the money. But spending money in itself is not the quality. Spending the money on a top player, that's different. And we are ready to do that. I will spend, and I quote, 300 million if I find the player. If I have 300 million, we are a club. If I have 300 million, we are a club who have 600 employees who need to be responsible, to have a responsible attitude as well. The fans are highly influenced by the media, and that's part of the process today. We are trying to make the right decisions. We have the whole team working on strengthening the team. I am not the only one. Okay. Um, if we can find the players who can strengthen the team, we will do that. It is a bit surprising that we come out of a football match and we do not speak about the football, we speak about the money. Nobody is speaking about the performance of Rob Holding today. Uh, you should be happy. He is English, he's 20 years old, but I'm sorry he did not cost 55 million, so it cannot be good. This man making a statement like that, showing one of two things. He's either not listening or he's showing his ignorance. Or, in my opinion, is showing both. Because nobody, if by on the stupid off chance Bennett is listening to this, let me make it clear. Nobody is saying spend 80 million on just anything. Nobody has said that. But you cannot tell us that there is nobody out there who is worth spending money on. Now, all right, everyone is pointing fingers at Lacazette. And let's not kid ourselves. Lacazette ain't worth 50 plus million. But at some point, let's go to your words. If you identify the players, now you've obviously identified Lacazette to be a player of quality, which is why you've bid 29.3 million. This is using your words. You've identified him. Why would you spend or would you bid less, not more, less than a rejected bid? Why would you bid less than a team who bid money for the same player and had that bid rejected because the bid was too small? That is what people cannot understand. People cannot understand why a Crystal Palace can identify someone like a. Now don't get it twisted. I don't want Christian Benteke, but how can Crystal Palace, for fuck's sake, spend more money on a player than we do? How they realized that they needed goals. They identified a striker. They spent 48 hours negotiating with this player, and they signed him up quick. No messing around, no bullshit. We take a month to sign a £2 million player. This is where our confusion and our frustration comes into play. It's like, are you telling me that you've had the whole summer and you've not identified one player outside of Jamie Vardy in case that Jamie Vardy deal didn't succeed? You can identify one more striker to spend money on. And in fact, if anything, are you telling me now that Lacazette, when you consider the money that's being spent in the Premier League, much to your dismay, because the only reason you criticize clubs like Man United for spending money on players is because you know that, but in turn, it's going to increase the pressure on you because you do the complete opposite. That's the only reason you keep being vocal about these teams, because you do the absolute opposite. Did it ever occur to you that, oh, well, Lacazette, 29 million, maybe that might not be enough, considering that flipping Balassi just went to Everton for 28 million. He ain't worth no 28 million. Quite frankly, I'll be sweating to pay 15 million for him. The way I see it is, if I identify something in him that I like, you got to spend the money to get him. Now in a position whereby if he just turned around and said, you know what, cool, I'm going to spend this money on, I'm going to spend 60 million on Lacazette. And don't get me wrong, every Arsenal fan will understand that is overpriced. But there is not one single Arsenal fan that will be angry because you did that. Lacazette is a goal scorer. Whether you think he's world class or not is a separate question. But he's a goal scorer. He's completely different to any type of player that is currently in our squad. In my opinion, he's a better version of Jamie Vardy. I feel like he has more attributes than a Jamie Vardy. Oh, and not to mention, the guy has got 5-2 now. All right, okay. At the weekend, 2 of those goals were penalties. Last time I checked, we don't really have a penalty taker, or not a good one. Are you honestly telling me that he, to use your words, would not improve our team? Your own words. And that's where the frustration comes into play, Arsene. No one's talking about, oh, well, where it's so insulting when you say that, oh, our fans are influenced by the media. This is not a this season problem. This is not even a last season problem. This is every single year. You don't do what it takes to make us title contenders. I said it before and I say it again. Listen, I love the signing of Mesut. I love the signing of Alexis. But those 2 players were not the players that we needed. This same striker that we're bitching and moaning about now was the same player that we've needed for the last 5 years. And the only reason why no one said anything at the time was we were so surprised by the Mesut Ozil and Alexis Sanchez signings that I think everyone just thought, cool, we'll muddle on. But at the time, everyone was thinking, well, hold up, what about the striker though? I mean, this is nice, but what about the striker? We've needed a striker for so long, and this is what he does not understand. He just believes that, oh, it's just us overreacting to the media and to the hype, and it's the media that are playing are Listen, I will never defend the media, don't get me wrong. I think the media are a bunch of nonsense. I think they depict Arsenal fans as clowns. And a lot of us are, to be fair, but not nearly as many as the media will have you believe. Having said all that, don't try to put it on the media saying that they're hyping this up. This is something that we have witnessed for 12 years. Just this absence, this absence of reality that, it takes one to spend money in order to get those players. I go back to Paul Merson's example today. Paul Merson said today a wonderful quote. You guys seem to like my whole milk and cereal example. I'll use his own example. And it's a perfect example because this will reign home true to a lot of you guys who have season tickets. Every single season, Arsenal fans complain about the price of season tickets and how they're £1,200. And one of their biggest excuses is, that's just the inflation prices. We have to set them at this price because that's just the price of inflation these days, yada, yada, yada. But yet they don't have that same attitude when it comes to buying. They don't seem to comprehend that, that's just the rate of the market these days. No. Paul Merson's example was, if we were to have Arsenal's attitude, let's put it this way. This is what he basically said in a nutshell. If we were to have Arsenal's attitude over the season ticket prices, we should be demanding that those season ticket prices are £800. His reasoning, won anything. So why are we paying the highest in the country for a team that's not won anything, or for a team that doesn't invest your money in players? By that logic, that means that the season prices should be at least £500 less than they are. £400 less than they are. But they're not. So if you're Arsene Wenger and you're saying to yourself, I won't overspend on a player, why? Why? If a Lacazette is out there and he's a goal scorer, you want to let him go easily. The team is going to think to themselves, well, I don't want you to just give me the value for the player. I want you to give me essentially a reason for me to let go of that player. £20 million will do it. Because I think Lacazette, all in all, is probably worth 40 million. He ain't going for those 40 million now, especially now he started the season. You must be joking. For us to get someone like a Lacazette now, and listen, never mind his quotes from this past weekend. This past weekend, he basically said, well, at this stage, he kind of doesn't see himself leaving Lyon. That is a complete contrast to what he said the weekend before. I just think it came from a player who's kind of shrugged his shoulders and has kind of accepted the fact that, look, he's probably going to end up staying another season again because he can't see him leaving Lyon now, and he doesn't want to have appeared to have cut all his Lyon ties if he ends up staying. So I can completely understand Lacazette's comments today. Mark my words though, if Arsene went back into Lyon and said, all right, let's stop fucking around, what exactly do you want for Lacazette? Now, short of them saying 100 million, if they say 60 million, now I know that's 20 million overpriced. You guys know that's overpriced. But you guys know at this point, let's just do it. Let's get it done. Because I don't want to hear all this madness talk of, quite literally madness talk of, we're going to sign Lewandowski or we're going to sign Griezmann. How? Why the heck would they come to us now? Why? Oh, because, Griezmann has an 85.5 million pound release clause. Okay. Do you think the man that made that quote that I just read out today is the same man that's going to spend 85 million pound on one player? The same man who criticized Man U for spending crazy money on Paul Pogba. A player, mind you, that Wenger likes. Never. Quite frankly, I'd be surprised if we get anyone. Never mind a Griezmann. Must be joking. I am so sick and tired of bitching and moaning. I'd love to come on here and feel excited. For me, I'm at this point now in my head where I've seen a number of things on Twitter today that just made me laugh and think, yeah, that's true. That's kind of the way I feel. I saw one guy say that, I think his name's Callum. He's on another podcast that I listen to. And he basically said that at the moment, Wenger is making me hate him. As every time he quotes something, every time he sees him, like he just feels his blood boiling. And he wasn't a particularly massive Wenger out before, but man, is he now. And that's the point where I am, except I'm a little bit more serene with it. For me, it angers me every time I see a stupid quote like this. I saw this stupid headline and I thought, yeah, because that's what we want. We want you to spend £55 million on a player, regardless of who that player is. No one is saying that. But you look like a laughing stock when West Ham bid £31.3 million for Lacazette. It gets turned down because Lyon thinks it's too cheap. And then in your wisdom, you think it's a good idea to bid £29.3 million pounds on the same player in the hope of doing what? In the hope of doing what? These are the things that people do not understand. When you do some bullshit like this, it angers people. And mind you, despite my bitching, despite my moaning, I was never really, until probably halfway through last season, I was never really a massive Wenger out. I never was. But slowly but surely, this man has beaten me down. I feel like I'm in a domestic violent relationship, and I'm the person taking the licks. I've been beaten down and beaten down and beaten down, and now Wenger is at the point where he's in a loveless marriage with us as Arsenal fans, where we once adored this man, loved this man. Le Professor, the genius. And now he's just this senile old man. Senile old man that keeps coming out with stupid, ridiculous statements like this. Oh, well, I'm sorry, I didn't spend 55 million on Rob Holding. Oh, yes, Wenger, that's what we're saying. Spending 55 million on Rob Holding. No, that's not what we're saying. What would you call it? We need two players. We've needed two players for the last 2 months, and you refuse to get them. What would you call it? I'd call that reluctance. What would you call it? Word reluctance. Unbelievable. And this situation will not improve. I tell you, the worst piece of news I could get this season as an Arsenal fan isn't us finishing outside of the top four. Short of relegation, the worst piece of news I could get, it's not even Alexis or Ozil leaving. The worst piece of news I could get as an Arsenal fan, right, is to be told that Wenger has signed an extension. I will feel like crying. I'll be crying inside. I really will be. And you will see an almighty, mighty rant. If you think this is bad, you will see an almighty rant from me. Because they're almost certainly going to offer him one. I just hope this man has some sort of awareness that maybe he's not welcome. Not anymore. Because at the moment, we are an absolute laughingstock. Every time we lose or don't win a game, go onto an Arsenal fan TV forum. Before, it used to be Arsenal fan heavy. And these stupid Chelsea fans that come on here laughing their asses off. A Chelsea fucking fan, the same team that finished 10th last season, are the same team that are laughing at us. To the laughingstock we've turned into overnight. Because this man won't do the little things we need to do to be a title contender. This is what pisses us off. It's not like we're a million miles away. There is not one single Arsenal fan that says, oh, we need this, we need this, we need this, we need this. We need two things, a defender and a striker. But will Arsenal do it? No. Just pure stubbornness. And it pisses me off. And I'm so far detracted from the damn game today. But I'm sorry, it was just that quote. This was set to be a normal review. So I'm sorry, guys, if I've been bitching and moaning. But it's stupid things like this because Wenger he's too busy being in his own way and being so arrogant that he can't for 1 minute just open his eyes and think, maybe I can see their point. Maybe I won't completely shit on the fans. Maybe my relationship with the fans is already pretty bad and I need to at least get through this season. Maybe I won't completely shit on them. Maybe I'll see if I can work really hard, try and identify a player and spend what is required. Because I'm sorry, Wenger, this is not acceptable. This is not good enough. Money or fuck off is my message to you. Anyway, guys, I'm so sorry. I've lost my mind. That one quote just pissed me off. Has pissed me off so much that I've had to come on here and just vent and rant and vent and rant. But anyway, what do you guys think of the game? Normally, this is usually a part where I start rating players. I'm not going to go through all of them, but easily I thought Koscielny was a 9 out of 10. I thought Rob Holding was at least an 8. I thought Xhaka was an 8. I thought Coquelin was a 7. And to be perfectly honest, those were the 4 players of note that I believe really did something. Outside of that, they were all either okay or in Alexis' case, I thought he was really poor. But I don't even really blame Alexis too much. The man is not playing in this position. Wenger has this hard-on for playing players out of position because he wants to be seen as a genius. He wants to be remembered as this innovator, which he's no longer, as far as I'm concerned, an innovator. He's just an irritant now. Forget an innovator. He's just an irritant. So anyway, guys. Okay, breathe. Anyway, what do you guys think about the game? How would you rate the players? Do you feel like Wenger will do anything over the course of the summer? We've got one more game before the international break. And in between the international break and the end of that game, there'll obviously be the closing of the transfer window. As I said on my last show, I actually have that entire week off. I've got a couple of people scheduled in to do a couple of half-an-hour slots that day. I'm going to try and run a good 3-hour show on the transfer window that day. It's real ambitious, so I'm going to go for. I'm going to try and get a couple of people on and see what we can do in terms of commenting on some of the signings that are coming on. And then I'll also do kind of a transfer window preview. Leanne Bernard. So yeah, hopefully she'll come on and she'll a few things about the transfer window. I'm still trying to convince her really. I don't know how well that's going to go down, but I'm hoping she'll come on and say a few things. If you're listening to the end of this rant and you're thinking, my gosh, this man's crazy, but I'm curious about his Twitter, follow me at Colossal Chig, CHIG. Follow me on there. Do tweet every now and again. Still getting used to this Twitter thing. And also, if you're listening on here and you haven't subscribed, what are you doing? Just below this video, there's a subscribe button. Hit it. And every time I do a video, you'll be alerted every time a video comes out. I'll do another show midweek, as per usual, every Wednesday at 9:30. May try to have someone on it. Watch this space. If you follow me on Twitter, I'll announce who it is on Twitter, hopefully by about Tuesday, as long as it's confirmed. But yeah, things are going to be happening soon. Plus, I've also finally ordered my fiber broadband. So every time my audio drops out or my picture freezes, I'm hoping that will happen a lot less. So I've ordered my mic, I've ordered some fiber broadbands, and I've ordered some editing programs. So I'm probably you're gonna see a lot of visual changes towards the video. So bear with me. Do feedback on that as well. Just let me know if you do like those changes. And that is pretty much my rant over. You'll be happy to know. But yeah, other than that, guys, that's pretty much it from me. Let me know what you think about the match. Take care. Peace.